Meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use our directives for the common good, and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes of the regular meetings of November 16, November 30, 2023, and December 5th and December 11th of 2023. May I have a motion to approve same, waiving the reading thereof?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. And are there any additions or corrections? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, this moves us to our first public comment portion. We have a special certificate. Suzanne, we have a special guest with here, Mary Parker.
We do have a special guest with us today, and thank you to the commissioners, to all of you commissioners who are allowing me the opportunity to recognize Miss Mary Parker. She has served as a youth leader at our group home at the Cayley home for 31 years. Almost 32 years, and she is retiring, sadly, at the end of this month. There is so much to say about Miss Mary. I really can't even find the words to express how much she has meant to all of us staff members throughout the years, as well as all of the children, and there have been hundreds and hundreds of children that she has worked with at the Cayley home. Prior to working at Cayley for 32 years, she was also a Head Start employee for 13 years, which means that she has been serving children and families in our community for 45 years, which is longer than some of us have been alive. And I could joke with Miss Mary about that. But again, I just really wanted to take this opportunity to express our gratitude for all that she has provided to the county and to the children that we work with. And I wish her much happiness in her retirement. There's not going to ever be another Miss Mary, I can guarantee that. But we will certainly treasure all of the memories that we have of her. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And we do have a certificate of recognition for Mary Parker for dedicated and diligent service during her 31 years of serving Cayley home. Whereas Mary Parker has diligently served at the Cayley home for 31 years. She started on March 16th, 1992 as a youth leader. And whereas she has, through many changes within the program, and helped over 900 children during her time with the Cayley home. Mary was responsible for scheduling and supervising the children in the summer program for many years. Mary is known for being a calming and loving, nurturing, and with her presence, to the children where they first arrive at the Cayley home. And as always, now therefore, we, the Board of Lake County Commissioners, hereby extend our genuine and heartfelt appreciation to Mary Parker for her hard work, kindness, and dedication to the children of Lake County. We wish her a fullest retirement, enriched by the company of her family and doing what she loves. Thank you. Gentlemen, anything you want to add to this?
Mr. President,
Sir.
as a teacher myself, I understand that there's no greater impact a person can have than what they give to the next generation. And these children in Cayley home are so in need of a good mentor, parent, coach, friend. You've worn all those hats, not for 1 decade, but more than 3. And I know that those 900 children all look to you with so much gratitude and love. I know how many lives you must have saved. As vulnerable as those kids were when they came into your care, and there are no words of gratitude that sufficiently express thanks for the contribution you've made, but I think you understand better than anyone that to truly make a difference in your community, it's not enough to give a year or a decade. You have to dedicate your life to it. And I know I'm looking at someone who has dedicated her entire life to the children of Lake County. So while it's insufficient, we say it with so much joy and so much gratitude. Thank you, Mary.
Commissioner Regovich.
Mary, I want to say congratulations on a long career, and I want to thank you for what you've done for Lake County and Lake County's kids. To say an unsung hero, that's the definition of what you just did over so many years. You've dedicated your life to making these children's lives better, and I can't put into words how much I appreciate that and how many people don't even know that goes on. But congratulations. I wish you a long and healthy retirement, and I hope you enjoy your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And if you would join us up here.
You can come up here if you want.
Wait for the meeting. We know Chad wants to take those pictures.
I heard that, Chad.
Mary, again, thank you for joining us here today. Well done. All right, and we also have a couple of oaths of office here. So if I could ask David and Thomas to join me up here. Get that going. Yeah, sure.
It was a man. Don't want to be disrespectful. Thank you. Thank you.
Good seeing you, man. Okay, I'm Dan Donaldson, Director at the Soil and Water Conservation District, and appreciate being here today. I just wanted to let the commissioners, who already know, but the audience as well, that the Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District is directed by a 5-person publicly elected board. These positions are recognized by the state of Ohio as publicly elected officials. They are elected to 3-year voluntary terms, and these gentlemen, along with our 3 other board members, direct the conservation priorities and conservation program delivery in Lake County, and will be over the next 3 years. So with us today, we have Dr. David Pierce. Need my glasses. Dr. David Pierce is a professor emeritus from Lakeland Community College in the College of Geosciences. After 35 years of teaching environmental studies, geology, meteorology, astronomy, and ocean studies, he is now retired from in-class field teaching and is an adjunct professor teaching at Lakeland. His watershed research of over 20 plus years is focused on interactions between land use and the biological, geological, and chemical qualities of the East Branch and the Chagrin River at River Mile 6.7 in Kirtland Hills. His other areas of expertise involves higher education curriculum development for outdoor experiential learning for students in geosciences. Dave has been a a Lake Soil and Water District user for as long as I've been at the district, which is over 30 years now. I was I was hired in as the education person. Dave worked at Harvey High School at the time. He led the science department, or biology department, and has been a district user my entire career. I've interacted with him certainly every year, my entire career. And then we have Thomas Rowan, who resides in Concord Township. Tom grew up in Fairport, attended the Lake Superior State University, has a degree in natural resources. Mr. Rowan worked for over 38 years in law enforcement, the majority of which was spent at the Ohio Division of Wildlife, where he was a state wildlife officer, including a wildlife officer here in Lake County for
8 or 9 years.
8 or 9 years. So we had a lot of interaction with him then. And ended his ODNR career as assistant chief of the Division of Wildlife down in Columbus. Tom is also the treasurer of the Lake County Rod and Gun Club, a life member of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Oh, I see how this works. A member of the National Wildlife Turkey Federation, Whitetails Unlimited, Ducks Unlimited, Trouts Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, and the Wildlife Society. Thomas is also the president of the Ohio Game Protectors Association and treasurer of the Ashtabula Lakeshore 114 FOP Lodge. And as you can guess, we have interacted with Tom for years and years, cooperating on wildlife damage, working with landowners, cooperating on wildlife damage issues, wildlife management issues, as well as a lot of educational materials, fishing days for kids and fair displays. And in fact, I think Tom was pretty instrumental in getting that cabin we have at the Lake County Fairgrounds for our display in the Natural Resources Building at the Lake County Fairgrounds. So with that, I just thank these two gentlemen for volunteering 3 years of their time away from family and fun to steward the conservation priorities of the county here. Thank you.
Yeah, come on over this way here. Okay. We're going to make use of this microphone so we can use our normal voices. So, gentlemen, it is my honor to present the oath of office for the Ohio Soil and Water Conservation Commission Supervisor Oath of Office. So, gentlemen, say aye, pronounce your name in full, and repeat after me. Aye.
Thomas
Do-
Rowan. Dave Pierce.
There you go. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will,
that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully discharge the duties
faithfully discharge the duties
of Supervisor of the
of Supervisor of the
Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District,
Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District,
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and preserve,
and preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of Ohio
the Constitution of Ohio
and of the United States
and of the United States
of America.
America.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Bless you. Anything you want to say, gentlemen? Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your service. And just a point of information, we do have a hard stop today. We have an attorney-client discussion at approximately 10:45. So if you see us moving towards a swift conclusion, please bear with us. So with that said, we are in our first public comment portion. Is there anyone wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone at all? Mr. Massey. Good morning, sir.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. A question regarding item on the agenda today. I noticed that there is a resolution for the 2024 Permanent Appropriation Measure. I noticed in an account, American Rescue Plan Act, it shows a balance of $9,900,000. And then I noticed that we do have a resolution that we're going to be spending $5 million of ARPA funds for the HVA system for the buildings and grounds. And I'm just wondering, is that $5 million that we have decided on the resolution, is that included in the $9 million? I'm just wondering how much ARPA funds we've got left.
It is not, but Jason, do you want to elaborate on that, or does that answer your question? There are two separate transactions.
They're two separate transactions?
Yes, sir. Both qualifying under ARPA standards. Joel, you got this? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Massey.
So, real briefly, the contract today we'll get paid out of those funds that we have appropriated for next year, out of that $9 million. If you look on, I believe plus or minus, we have a cash balance of about $26 million left in ARPA before those contracts. But I know a lot of projects are in the pipeline, and we have our general government provision too that we are also working on. So yes, the contract is included in that $9 million we have appropriated for next year.
So the $10 million that's a separate, but again, just to be clear, 'cause
Correct.
that's where I was going when
Correct.
I said no, they are not.
The $10 million separate.
Okay.
And we don't appropriate that until we're ready to use it. So that will be a weekly resolution transfer at some point next year when we're ready to do that.
And just to be clear, that 10 million is also the 10 million we've been counting towards our jail project funding.
Tentatively correct, yes.
Yes, okay. Just again, in openness, transparency, and good
Yep,
governance.
no problem.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Massey, is that satisfactory to answer your question? Yes, it does. Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the public? Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir. Your microphone is a bit ajar there, sorry. Joel kind of left it a bit of a disheveled situation.
Morgan McIntosh, Township Trustee in Concord. Good morning. I'm here before you this morning to discuss the township-funded law enforcement program in Lake County, as we've talked about this many times over the last couple of years. 2 years ago, the sheriff made it abundantly clear that he did not have enough deputies to keep the township safe. In response to that, Lake County Townships used ARPA funds and accepted the grant that the Commissioners Board offered for 3-year matching grant for each deputy that the townships committed to fund. Townships agreed to this, an understanding that eventually we would need to pass levies to support most of this at some point. As of today, 2/3 of that funding effort was unsuccessful. The lack of financial support does not change the reality of policing necessary to keep these communities safe. The grant offered in 21 was conceived out of a significant increase of crime across Perry, Concord, Leroy, and Painesville townships. This increase was punctuated by a dramatic shooting event at the Lake Dine and Dance. Counties in the state of Ohio are charged with providing law enforcement into unincorporated entities in the county, and that's the townships. That's set forth in Ohio Revised Code. Lake County Commissioners have for 15 years constrained the funding for road patrol in Lake County. Cuts that were initiated by Commissioners Troy and Awfuldish have been maintained or have stood since that time. While these communities have grown, the county has only reduced the funding in law enforcement. Townships lack the statutory authority to collect an income tax and therefore only have a limited availability of funding to hire deputies, and that is through tax levies. Combined with shortages in the local government funds, townships presently aren't able to support the growing need of law enforcement in these communities. Concord Township alone has grown by 21% and developed a vibrant commercial district over the last 20 years. And during that time, the law enforcement presence has been reduced, at least the county funding portion of it. Recently, I participated in a ride-along with the Lake County Sheriff's Department. Riding along in a police car is not anything that I'm unfamiliar with. I've spent thousands of hours riding in a law enforcement vehicle as an active participant in the Police Explorer program, as a police reserve, as an intern, and even as a short time as a police officer. For 6 hours, I observed the Lake County Sheriff's Department patrolling and responding to calls in our townships. I immediately picked up unit numbers and tracked their movement throughout the deputies patrolling and responding to various calls. Around 7 p.m. that evening, 2 cars were assigned for a domestic in Perry. And for those that aren't aware, domestic is a call that would require 2 officers for safety reasons. The remaining deputies were then involved in a moving road rage and harassment call that progressed its way from Concord Township into the city of Painesville, then back into Concord Township, and consumed multiple deputies, 3 or 4. At the time, I was riding in a squad, and it was the only car available in the town, of all of the areas to patrol. So we sat still and didn't do anything for a period of time, waiting to see what else would break loose. That was a Tuesday night. It wasn't a Friday or a Saturday night when a lot of times most of us think law enforcement's busy. It was Tuesday. Before my ride along and in subsequent conversations we've all had, the sheriff and the chief deputy have confirmed with us that without township support, that the 12 county-funded deputies would result in 1 to 2 deputies on any given 12-hour shift. The remaining 4 or 5 deputies on patrol at any time are funded entirely by the townships. With the failure of these levies, township funding will decline in 2024. In Concord, we are seeking to reduce the funding of our deputies and plan to reallocate the remaining ARPA funds that we have, and some of that we had planned to use for the water line project. So we're in the process of trying to pursue other avenues to complete that water line project, but we are in a point where we have to allocate that money or our cuts will be even more severe than we're looking at this point. Just to recap in the conversation, for the last 15 years, the townships have continued to grow, and we've covered that ground as far as population has shifted from one side of the county to the townships. And we've had the ongoing conversation about the definition of the sheriff's obligation to statutorily is obligated to keep the peace. And my understanding is that comes out of the County Commissioners Association has kind of come up with that definition, been supported by some legal decisions that we've discussed. The basic county funding equals 1 to 2 deputies on any given 12-hour shift, and that covers 88 square miles and 50,000 people. In my experience, and it's just one night. I'm sure there's plenty of times where they're not as taxed as they were that evening, but it demonstrates to me that 4 to 6 deputies per shift is a little bit more what the sheriff would need to maintain the peace and just respond to what's going on. It is my position, and we're concerned that without township funding, this is a conversation we've been having for a couple of years. I've asked a few times for what is the definition, where are we at, and I'm here to discuss that experience that I had saying, hey, I was watching at a point where all 6 cars were basically tied up, and if the townships weren't present in that, we're not keeping up with what was going on. That's phone calls, that's calls to respond to. I don't believe that the township should sit out here and not contribute in any way. My concern is that I think at this point, a majority of the contribution is on the township's behalf, and that since those cuts from 2008, our numbers have increased while the county has remained flat. I think it's time for us to have an honest conversation about where that is, and I request that at some point we sit down with the sheriff or whatever, with the commissioners, and kind of noodle up what those numbers might be. The request I'm making today is that the commissioners help us and support the staffing levels. I know the sheriff's department's done some hiring in the last couple of years, and I want to add that I was beyond impressed with the professionalism and the quality of the deputies that I met that evening. They're young, they're hungry, they're eager to serve, they're out there. We should be proud of them, by one, and my request is that we do everything we can to make sure they're retained. Concord is going to work to secure funding to at least get to levels we think are realistic, but it's going to take time. This year is going to be a tough year. My request of you is that you help support, because I know the sheriff and the chief deputy are very concerned that if those deputies are cut or let go, they won't be able to rehire them or get them back, and that is our concern. We'd like to work with you to develop a long-term funding strategy that increases the county base, the county-funded deputies per se, and use those funds and then use township funds to effectively have a strong presence in our community. I know there's a lot of members in the wake of our levy, like, we don't see the police, we don't ever see them, why are we paying for them? It's something I feel we should be working on together. And if we need your support, we would appreciate it when it comes time for levies, because we're the ones that have to go out there and ask, although we work together as far as funding law enforcement in the townships. And I want to close by saying that road rage incident that I witnessed or was observing, that came from one party offering a tenant's eviction and kicking somebody out of a house. My ride along occurred 5 days after a similar event occurred on the Mentor and Willoughby border that turned into an active shooter situation that was a murder and suicide. I came to the county the next day to talk, and the first thing I spent 15 minutes talking with the sheriff and the chief deputy about was that incident and how it was responded to. We're one call away in these townships from something like that happening. That was a tenant eviction. Those are the two very similar. We're just fortunate in Concord that that didn't turn into something worse. We've all taken an oath to serve our communities, and I'm here respectfully to ask for your support to work through this challenge, but I want to close by saying we're one call away. We're one incident away from something like that happening. So from my perspective, we can come together and do the right thing and try to work this out, or we can do nothing, and then if something bad happens, we can stand and point fingers at each other and try to pass the buck. And I don't want to do that. So I thank you for your time this morning, and thank you for your consideration on this issue.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak briefly. I'll be quick in the interest of your time. As Mr. McIntosh said, again, Carl Dondorfer, Concord Township Trustee. Unfortunately, our levy initiative to support the current level of sheriff's staffing did not pass in Concord Township. It's my opinion that there are several reasons for this outcome. We can all agree that people are truly struggling in this time and to make ends meet, and nobody likes to increase tax burdens on people in their communities. However, at times it is necessary for the stability and safety of the community. It's also much more difficult now to connect with constituents and get the message out due to multiple social media platforms, and at times people truly don't understand what is being asked of them. However, I do not believe there is a lack of support for safety forces within Lake County. We have an obligation as elected officials to make sure we seek to work on alternatives to ensure the safety of our community, and that is why we are here today. As I enter my 31st year in full-time public safety as a law enforcement officer, I can honestly say I have never been so concerned for the viability of this profession. Law enforcement agencies across the country are struggling to staff their schedules, maintain their experienced cadre of officers, and keep their communities safe. Prior to the restructuring of the road patrol within the county budget in 2008, I was a patrol commander with the Sheriff's Office, at which time the minimum staffing was 3 deputies, including a supervisor on day shift, 4 on afternoon shift, and 3 on midnight shift. We were fortunate prior to 2008 to have several more deputies on shift and ran well above minimum staffing levels. However, when we were operating at minimum staffing levels, it was very challenging to handle the call volume of the Sheriff's Office without jeopardizing officer safety and being able to respond to emergencies as they occurred without delay. After 2008, some of the townships entered into contracts with the Sheriff's Patrol deputies to supplement the county-funded 12 deputies. 12 deputies equated to a little over 2 deputies 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Unfortunately, this number has not grown despite the growth in all the townships and the 21% growth in Concord Township over the past several years. In my professional opinion, the staffing is not adequate to safely protect the community and to ensure the safety of our first responders. We need to do everything in our power collectively to ensure we maintain the cadre of deputies we have here in Lake County, despite Concord's levy failure. Losing seasoned, experienced law enforcement officers in the current environment of this profession, in my opinion, would be catastrophic. Vacancies created by releasing deputies due to staffing reductions would create vacancies which would be very difficult to fill. Too many departments are incentivizing law enforcement positions to attract lateral transfers from other agencies, since the number of new recruits looking to enter the law enforcement profession are at all-time lows. So the issue is systemic. Vacancies are created by potential layoffs, and then when you try to fill the vacancies, officers are less likely to sign on with an agency who has an opening created by a layoff rather than through attrition. Through this process, the safety of the community and the safety to our first responders is compromised and is not an acceptable outcome. It is my hope, as well as the other elected officials, that by coming here today, it will spark additional dialogue to add additional county-funded deputies to the current number of 12, while Concord Township works to create more community engagement on this issue so that we can decide what is best moving forward to be able to contribute additional funding to support our law enforcement services through the sheriff. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to working together to keep our communities safe. I would like to say it's been an honor to work with this Board of Commissioners. I know how committed you are to public safety, and it's important, especially during this time. So thank you for your time.
It's appreciated to hear you say that and recognize that. Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else in the audience wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk, first agenda item, please.
In the Engineer's Office, resolution authorizing the Lake County Engineer to participate in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioner, this is a program set up by ODOT about 3 years ago, which allows us to go directly and bypass the biddings process to do certain kinds of projects that are infrastructure projects. In this particular case, we're using it for our seal coat.
Thank you, sir. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution awarding a bid contract in the amount of $87,000 to Great Lakes Crushing for Hardy Road Regulator Project 468W 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving plans, specifications, and estimates of cost in the amount of $55,953.48 for Pinecrest Road Sanitary Sewer Extension in Concord Township, job number 23-47.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In Job and Family Services Department, resolution authorizing execution of a service contract between United Labor Agency Incorporated, ULA, and the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Department of Job and Family Services to provide RESEA services to Ohio Means Jobs, Lake County, OMJ Lake, in the amount of $184,140.50 for calendar year 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution reappointing John N. Rampy to the Lake Development Authority Board of Directors for a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing John Uran to the Lake Development Authority Board of Directors for a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Ronald Wassam to the Lake Development Authority Board of Directors for a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution reappointing the City of Eastlake Mayor Dennis Morley as a member of the Lake County Narcotics Executive Board for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just say thank you to Mayor Morley, as well as Messrs. Wassam, Irfan, and Rampy for their service to the county. We appreciate them taking on these non-paid roles, but these boards are very important.
Indeed. And I would be remiss if I did not say that Mayor Morley stands out as one of the hardest working elected officials in Lake County as he continues to progress through his recovery from recent surgery. It is a reassuring thing to see that he continues to serve and find time to be there for the people of Lake County, not just his community of Eastlake. So with that, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving pay application number 11, release of retainage in the amount of $35,338.31 with Town Center Construction LLC for the Lake County Sheriff's Office Training Facility Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a contract with Train US Incorporated, procured through Omnia Partners on behalf of the Lake County Department of Buildings and Grounds for HVAC improvements for the Lake County buildings in an amount not to exceed $7,654 for $7,654,497.
There you go.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and Fair Housing Resource Center Incorporated for the implementation of Emergency Rental Assistance Program 2 ERAP 2 funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? I'll give a little bit of background. The total households provided financial assistance through ERAP 1 and ERAP 2 combined 924 for a total of $4,191,963. And this is for housing guidance and eviction protection for less than 2,000 households. This guidance is what can be continued as a result of today's agreement. So I just wanted to get that into the discussion. So if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,804,888.30.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $500,173.99.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing and decreasing appropriations through various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring appropriations within various general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving the 2024 permanent appropriation measure for funds outside the general fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, moving on to departmental reports. Utilities. Thank you. Job and Family Services.
Have a great holiday, Commissioners. No other report today.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. County Administrator, Jason, anything? Joel.
I had to switch packets.
That's okay.
Just real briefly, wanted to give the board a heads up that next week we will have 3 resolutions for your consideration for our healthcare contracts for next year. We will be sticking with Medical Mutual for our medical coverage. We will be sticking with Caremark for our prescription drug coverage, but we're using a new entity to help us with that called RX Benefits, and then we will be passing our contract for our stop loss insurance next week as well. Our consulting group went out to the market for all 3 lines of coverage for this. They went through a process. We gave Jason and I a management summary for us to review and recommend to you guys. So all that stuff is in order. We're getting the finishing touches on the contracts. I want to thank Mr. Hackman and his team for getting those done. And we'll have those resolutions for your consideration next week.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk.
I guess I wanted to mention that county offices will be closed on Monday, December 25th for Christmas, and I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And our next meeting will be next week, Thursday, December 28th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. County Engineer.
Well, bear with me as I go through these 20 pages.
I can turn your microphone off very easily, sir.
Oh, you're that kind of guy, huh? All righty. Well, the update on our emergency projects is that Payne Road is, the contractor expects to move in at the end of January and get started. Williams Road, the contractor expects to be done by the end of next week with the major part of the stuff, and the roads hopefully will be open by the first week in January. On Ford Road, we have purchased the culvert, the main big culvert that's a long lead time. The engineer is on track with his with the drawings to be delivered right around the end of next week or first week in January. The contractor is reviewing some very preliminary drawings from the engineer, getting his mind set as to what the project is all about, and getting ready to move forward. So that's it. And Merry Christmas.
Excellent, sir.
Merry Christmas to everybody. See, you shut me off. See, you did it.
My hands never left my arms, I assure you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Any old business coming for the board? Any old business? Seeing and hearing none, moving on to new business. Any new business? Any new business? Seeing and hearing none. All right, this brings us to our second public comment portion. Again, please be aware we do have a hard stop coming up. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the board? Anyone at all? Thank you for your understanding. We do have a request for executive session. The purposes will be real estate acquisition and legal pending litigation. There will be no business to be conducted afterwards. May I have a motion to adjourn for the reasons so stated?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that with a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Season's greetings to all Lake County.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Commissioner Regovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Thank you all for joining us.